What if I told you that the biggest illusion in modern economics is the idea that printing more money makes a country richer? Because if that were true, why do nations print billions, yet ordinary people still struggle to afford fuel, groceries, school fees, or even electricity? Why does inflation rise while salaries stay still? Why do governments claim economic growth while citizens feel poorer every year? And here's the real mystery. If governments can create money anytime they want, why do they still borrow? Who are they borrowing from? And why are we citizens the ones paying the ultimate price? Today we dive into one of the most misunderstood financial paradoxes of our time. When governments print wealth, but citizens stay broke. And the reason behind it will challenge everything you thought you knew about money, setting the stage, background, and the twist. To understand this paradox, we need to go back to the beginning. Back to when money wasn't paper, wasn't digital, and definitely wasn't something governments could create with a few keyboard clicks. Thousands of years ago, money had intrinsic value: gold, silver, livestock, grain. But over time, kings and governments discovered a trick that changed human history. The power to create money out of nothing. It started slowly, first by mixing cheaper metals into gold coins, then printing paper notes backed by gold, and eventually, removing the gold entirely. The moment governments realized they could print money without limits, they also created a new system of control, a system that seems to create wealth, but actually transfers it, not to the people, but away from them. And that brings us to the first chapter of our story, Origins, the birth of modern money. In 1971, U.S. President Richard Nixon made a decision that reshaped the world. He ended the gold standard, meaning money no longer needed to be backed by anything real. From that day forward, money became debt, and debt became money. Every dollar created was borrowed into existence. Every note printed came with interest attached. Every government budget depended not on gold but on loans. Loans from central banks, loans created digitally, loans backed by nothing but promises. And once one country started printing, others had no choice but to follow. This was the birth of fiat currency, money created by government order, not by real value. But at first, people didn't notice the problem, because the trick worked. For a while, the rise, when printing money seemed like magic, governments realized something powerful. If the economy was slow, they could print money. If there was unemployment, they could inject cash. If markets crashed, they could stimulate. And it worked. Temporarily, money flowed. Stock markets rose. Banks grew richer. Corporations expanded. Politicians loved it because printed money meant no need to increase taxes, no need to cut spending, no need to make unpopular decisions. It looked like a miracle tool. But here's the twist. Every note printed makes the notes in your pocket worth less. And that leads us to the breaking point. The breaking point, when printing turns poison. At first, people don't notice inflation. It begins slowly. A few extra rupees for bread, 5% more for petrol, a small increase in utility bills. But then suddenly, prices rise faster than salaries. Savings lose value. And ordinary citizens realize the government may have printed money, but the people are paying for it. Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Sri Lanka, Lebanon, Turkey, Pakistan. Every country that printed aggressively reached the same breaking point. Inflation, currency collapse, loss of purchasing power, rising debt. Because here's the secret. Governments don't pay for printing money. Citizens do, through rising prices, through shrinking savings, through lost opportunities. And when citizens can't keep up, the fallout begins. The fallout, when citizens start to drown. When too much money enters the economy, basic goods become unaffordable. Middle-class savings vanish. Wealth shifts upward, not downward. Assets like land, gold, and stocks rise beyond reach. People work more, but earn less in real value. Governments claim record growth, but citizens experience record struggle. Why? Because the new money barely reaches the people. It goes to big banks, large corporations, and government debts, not the average worker. Printed money isn't distributed equally. It flows to the top first. This is called the Cantillon Effect. Those closest to the money printer get richer, and those farthest get poorer. And when this system starts collapsing, governments try fixes, but they only make things worse. Failed fixes, the loop that never ends. When inflation rises, governments claim they will boost the economy. How? By printing more money, taking more loans, introducing subsidies, rolling out new stimulus packages. But these actions are the cause of the problem, not the cure. It's like trying to put out a fire by throwing petrol on it. The loop continues. More printing, more inflation, more debt, more poverty. And this brings us to today, modern parallels. The pattern we still ignore. Look around the world right now. Global debt is at its highest level in human history. People are working harder but saving less. Currencies are falling. Prices rising. Governments printing. Central banks panicking. And the most shocking part? Despite printing trillions, poverty is increasing because money creation does not create wealth. It only redistributes it. 1. Printing money doesn't make a nation richer. It makes citizens poorer. 2. Every new note created steals value from the notes you already have. Wealth isn't lost. It's transferred from the bottom to the top. The system will not fix itself. Governments will not stop printing. Inflation will not magically disappear. The more dependent we become on this cycle, the more control we lose. The only way to survive is to understand the game, because those who understand it win, and those who don't get crushed by it. If you want more deep, powerful breakdowns on global finance, money history, and economic secrets, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and share this video with someone who needs to understand what's really happening. The world is changing fast. Don't get left behind.